Hello, all you beautiful people. I'm so happy to be here today. My name's Coombe-Heath, Binge and Emotional Eating Recovery Specialist. I help busy women heal their relationship with food so that they can get off the binge guilt cycle and finally build trust with food and help them connect with their bodies and just have the most amazing relationship with food and their bodies. Hi Tazzy, how are you? Okay, so I wanted to talk today about a question that we had in my Food Freedom for Binge and Emotional Eaters Facebook group. So I've got you guys both on Instagram and on my Facebook group. So come and join the Facebook group if you're not there on Instagram. Instagram followers, I'd love to see you in that group. If you are in the Facebook group, hello, give me a hi at the bottom. I'd love to just chat to you today about a question we had about, is it normal to plan a binge and whether there's something wrong with you if you do. Now, we know how painful binge eating is, and we know how the actual agony that comes with the aftermath of a binge. So why would we ever actually plan a binge? And let me know if you have ever experienced this, where you've actually gone out and you've planned a binge. And let me just tell you that is 100% normal. There's nothing wrong with you. That's just something that actually happens to many binge eaters, and I'll explain to you why from a neurological and a cognitive perspective. So from our brain perspective and our thought perspective in just 1 second. But when we are in a cycle of binge eating, or for a year or 2 months or 2 weeks, whatever the case is, often that binge is actually planned, or that binge is actually triggered a few days before. It's hardly ever triggered on the day. If it is, it's possibly triggered a few hours before. It's never really in the moment, and that's what my clients really don't understand when they start working with me. They're like, but I don't know where this came from. It just hit me out of the blue and I just kind of lost control. So this is for you to understand that often your binges are triggered hours or days before you actually binge. And then what happens is we go into a pattern of different thoughts that probably says, I need that binge food, don't eat the binge food, don't eat the binge food. And so we have this battle in our minds until eventually we actually eat the binge food. So let's talk about planning a binge and why that actually happens. Why would we put ourselves through so much pain when I just realized that I don't have this on. So hopefully you guys have been, hopefully you guys were able to hear me. Otherwise I'll have to redo the live on Facebook. Oh, that's just crazy. But okay, so why would we put ourselves through something so painful, right? It's just never made sense to me. And the reason for this is because we, in our minds, anticipate. It anticipates fear, it anticipates events, it anticipates feeling uncomfortable. And when that happens, it says, well, you might as well get some comfort food because we are going to be facing something that's fearful, something that's stressful, and I know that food's going to make me feel better. So there's nothing wrong with you if you plan a binge. There's nothing wrong with you for actually thinking about binge eating, because that is just your coping mechanism that you have added into your day. And it's not just something that is just added in there willingly. It is kind of become ingrained in what you are doing during the day, what you are feeling, and how you respond to or react to life. So let me quickly explain why we might plan to binge, and just explain a little bit more about our minds, and also just the thought processes that happen during during a binge process. Hi, lovely. So what happens is, and I actually did a blog post, not a blog post, I did a blog post and a podcast episode on this yesterday. So if you want the link for that, just put podcast episode in the comments and I'll send you the link to the podcast. It's called Beyond Overeating by Wholesome Lifestyle Project. If you haven't listened to that, come and join me there. But let's just look at the actual layers of consciousness. Let's just see how binge eating and planning to binge actually falls into these different layers. So what happens is we have the conscious mind, and that sits, if you had to look at the ancient iceberg kind of illustration, that sits at the top of the ocean. You can see that is where our thoughts and our perceptions lie. Then we have our subconscious mind, which is where our memories and our knowledge sit. Then even deeper than that is our unconscious mind. And this is where our instincts, our urges, our beliefs, and our fears sit. Hi, lovely. Hi, Beck. Often what happens is those are the deep, dark waters where we don't want to tread. Okay, so what happens when we plan a binge? So something might be coming up that is triggering an old past trauma, something that creates a little bit of fear for you. You know that it's going to be a stressful week. Something might have just attacked your self-esteem, or something might have just brought on some of those old emotional wounds or just memories of that. So what happens is we anticipate feeling down about it, feeling terrible about those emotions. So we start creating this thought process in our minds, which sits at the top of the subconscious. And these thought patterns are going to say, if it is like a past trauma or an emotional wound, it's going to say, well, I just know that you're going to feel better if you eat. If it's something that's coming up that's going to be quite traumatic or fearful or scary, it's going to say you better get some binge food because going through this is going to be hard. And this is literally what your thoughts starts telling you. And those thoughts feed into your beliefs about that memory, that situation that's imminent, that's going to come. And that's the reason why we actually start cognitively thinking about binge eating. And we're not thinking about the actual binge. Subconsciously, we are thinking about the relief we will get. And this is where we tune into the memory of the relief of that binge food. So our bodies and our minds, for 1 second while we're in that binge, while we eating just a little bit of that food, we actually feel better and we sometimes numb out. And this is why often my clients feel like they actually go unconscious, or they feel possessed, they go into full food zombie mode, as I call it. And so that is why we start thinking, well, and this is not happening in the thought process, this is happening at a subconscious level. Your memories and your knowledge of previous binge experiences is saying, this event is going to feel uncomfortable, and I know from past experience that eating binge food is going to make me feel better. And that is how we start. We'll hear more of these food thoughts. It's going to access your memory. It's going to trigger your urges to eat. The urges are going to create thoughts, feelings, sensations in the body that's so uncomfortable, even more uncomfortable than the actual event, that eventually you do give in. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with you if you actually plan a binge. That is just part of your unconscious and the subconscious helping to protect you from whatever is happening in your life right now. Whether that's something coming up whether it's something you're experiencing right now or something that's actually just happened. Your subconscious and unconscious, which has got nothing to do with positive thinking or healthy affirmations or just eating clean, that is what's protecting you from whatever you are going through right now. Beautiful. So hopefully that was helpful. Come and listen to my podcast, Beyond Overeating by Wholesome Lifestyle Project. If you're watching on Instagram, come and join my Facebook group, Food Freedom for Binge and Emotional Eaters. And I have an amazing program coming up, which is going to help you to understand the thinking processes, the beliefs and the memory and the knowledge that's driving those behaviors. So if you would like to get onto that, hop onto my waitlist for the announcements of those programs. The link's in my bio on Instagram. On Facebook, I will pop the link in the comments. Have a beautiful day, everyone. I can't wait to see you next week for our live Q&A. Mwah!